Welcome to GGKCS, the multi-generational podcast / FlossTube for fans of all things knitting, cross stitch, and geeky. I'm Cece, and I'm glad you're here today. Today is Thursday, the 17th of September, 2020, and this is episode 413. I'd like to say a big welcome back. Love y'all to all of our returning viewers, and a big hi to any new viewers. We've had a surge of those this week. I think because of a mention in a FlossTube that I'll talk about later. But thanks for giving us a shot. We hope you enjoy the show. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here but you haven't seen our last couple episodes, let me explain what's going on. So normally my almost 21-year-old Dammy records with me, thus the multi-generational. They will be 21 in less than a month. I just can't. So they return to university over the weekend. So they attend Seattle Pacific University in Seattle, Washington. That's the Seattle Pacific, which is about it's an hour ferry ride east of where we live on the Kitsap Peninsula. So ferry and then just a short drive. So they have moved in with 3 other theater students in an on-campus apartment. And it hasn't been easy going, but they're adjusting. I think just that realization once they were back on campus that this is not at all what it was like when they left in March. I think that was, So, but they're in classes and almost everything's online. Part of their work is remote as well, but there is some working in person. So it's just an adjustment. It's an adjustment. We were very sad to realize yesterday that the only holiday they have is, I think it was on a Wednesday in November. But that is because what they did was they moved up the start date of classes, because normally they don't start till the end of September and then finish in early December. They moved up the start date of classes and aren't doing holidays other than for, is it Veterans Day that's in November? Because they are releasing them at Thanksgiving break, and then they won't go back for winter quarter until January. So they're trying to keep students from having to travel twice. Well, actually it would be 3 times, because they would have to travel home for Thanksgiving, back to campus, back home. So that's the reason why, but we were kind of sad to realize that. Hopefully they'll be able to come home for their birthday, either the weekend before or after, so that we can celebrate 21. So that is why Dammy's not here, or that's where Dammy is. So, and because of Dammy's schedule, which is really pretty full, we made the decision together that they are only going to record every other week. So on the off weeks, you get just me, and you'll get an abbreviated form of the podcast, FlossTube. I won't be doing all the segments. The weeks that Dammy is on, we'll do all the segments, and we will be recording, please technology work, video conferencing. And then when they're home, unless the place that they work when they're home isn't open, but just a little bit right now. So if they have work when they come back at break, we'll just have to look at the schedule to see if they'll still record every other week or every week with me when they're home. So that is the situation. That's why Dammy's not here. That's why I'm recording by myself. I already record the Stitch With Me's that release on Mondays by myself. But you'll be getting just me every other week while Dammy is gone to university. So there you have it. Well, I do have some things to talk to you about. I finished something, cast on something new, started a new cross stitch project, and we have some yummies as well. So we should I see it's good. I'm going to say we because I'm used to having Dammy. I should get started. Forgive me if I say we, that's just how it is. We should get started. Here we go. And I might have to get used to introducing segments, because a lot of the times Dammy is the one that introduces the segments. So, I mean, I do some, but okay. So we're going to talk about what's on my needles. So in my Nerdbird Maker bag, I have a new project. So I am knitting what I am calling Hello Pumpkin socks for me, using my French vanilla cappuccino sock pattern. Oh, I'll throw this in here while we're talking about it. All of our patterns are now off Ravelry. So if you want to hear the reasoning behind that, you can watch previous videos, but we've moved, the patterns are still in the database there, but the patterns are not available for purchase on Ravelry. If you go to our website, javapearldesigns.com, there are the links there to our Etsy and our PayHip store, as well as individually each pattern's link to purchase them there. So my French vanilla cappuccino sock pattern, which is what I use for socks, plain vanilla socks, all my plain vanilla socks. I'm on US 1.5, 2.5 mil needles, and I'm using Pandia's Jewels. I got to get used to the camera being where the camera is. Pandia's Jewels Snug in the pumpkin spice colorway. It's a little dark. That's a little truer right there. And X-Ray and Fingering in the semi-solid Battleship colorway. That's pretty true. So I just started this yesterday. This little progress keeper right here is from Ann Tudor. Oh, I love it. Pumpkin. So I used the gray for the toe. So the plan is to do the gray for the toe, heel, and cuff with the pumpkin spice for the mane. And then I'm going to weigh my yarn, because I would love to do them just matching, with the gray just as the toe, heel, cuff, and the orange as the mane on both of them. If I don't have enough for that, the other sock will be opposite. So it'll be the pumpkin spice for the toe, heel, cuff, and then the gray for the mane. So that is what is on my needles now. I was like, I gotta get these cast on because I want to be able to show y'all. So yeah, it's so fun. I love autumn, and I'm so happy that it's getting cooler. It looks like, oh, I didn't even talk about that either in the intro. I guess I should have. Sorry, I'm recording in the morning when we normally record in the afternoon, and so I'm having my coffee, my second cup of coffee anyway. I need my caffeine. You know what? I'm going to wait and talk about the fires and everything at the end, in case people are watching and they're not watching this segment, because I know some people watch just the cross stitch and some people watch just the knitting, so I think I'll wait and do that. So, but I have 2 FOs, so let's move on to the next segment and I'll show them to you. And now it's time to talk about my finished projects. So first up is my weekly preemie hat. This is number 37 for the year, and it's from my free top-down preemie hat pattern that you can get on javapearldesigns.com. I used US 6's 4 mil needles, and I was using the leftover from my new cowl design that'll release in October, the Pandia's Jewels Floofy in the Miss Woodhouse Please Advise colorway. So I held that with the gray just for the stripe here. And then I used, the gray is the Karen Simply Soft in the Gray Heather colorway, and then the gold is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted in the Semolina colorway. I am just so in love with this 2-color ribbing down there. So that was number 37 for the year. The other thing I finished, they're still a little bit wet because I just finished them yesterday. These are surprise socks for the daughter of a friend from when we were in Scotland. Her daughter's name is Lou, and she just turned 2 in the last couple weeks. These weren't birthday, these were just because. I used my French Vanilla Cappuccino sock pattern. I just reduced the number of stitches because she's only 2. And I did tube socks, so no heels, because that way she can wear them longer, because kids' feet grow fast. I did these on US 1.5, 2.5 mil needles, and I used Pandia's Jewels Super Sparkle in the electric pink colorway. So here they are. And yes, they are 2 different colors. So I grabbed, because I did matching socks for Mom Rebecca. So what I did was, this was a sock blank, which means it was a pre-knitted piece of fabric that was like a long rectangle, and it was dyed that way. So it was dyed gradient. And so what I did, because I wanted to do from opposite ends of the gradient, I wound it into a cake, and then I did 1 sock from the outside and 1 sock from the inside. So I started with the dark one of Rebecca's. So when it ends there, this is where I picked up that color when I started for Lou's. And then from the opposite end, I started at the light for Rebecca and then picked up here. So they have matching socks. Yeah. And Rebecca has no idea about these. I colluded with her husband to find out shoe size, and then now I have their address, so I will get those mailed out probably next week. Yeah, so I'll let the tube socks dry, and yeah, so that was 2 finishes for me this week. So but I have cross stitch to talk about, including a new start. So let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for FlossTube. So let me talk about what I have worked on this week. I'm going to move my coffee up here out of the way so I don't dip any projects in it. I also think that what I'm going to start doing is, so like today, before I do any cross stitching, is take a progress picture of each of my projects. And then that way, when I show them to you again next week, I can put the picture up and you can see the progress that I made, instead of me trying to remember, now what did I do on this? I can't remember where. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see if that works. We'll see. Okay, first up in my project bag from Tilting Planet, it is actually confetti in there, it like moves, is my Baba Black Sheep, which is a pattern by the Prairie Schooler. This was gifted to me from Michelle Bindi Stitchy. And I am stitching it on an 18 count Aida that was dyed by Erin, the 2 Martini Stitcher. It was dyed this beautiful pink. That is a very true to color. So I changed the floss colors because they're not going to match. So I only stitch on this in my weekly Stitch With Me videos that would come out on Mondays. So this week I finished the bag. So what I think I probably will do next is this line underneath and the letters, and then that same color is the sheep. So then start on the sheep, and then I'll fill in the contrast color through there, and then I'll do the back stitch of the letters and also on the bags of wool. So, but yeah, I only get in about, I don't know, probably around 50 or so stitches every week on it. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and it's easy enough that I can chat with you as well as stitch and make a little bit of progress. So, okay, my new start, which is in this beautiful project bag from Stitching the High Notes, Joanna, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Joanna. And what I am stitching in this new start is Hello Pumpkin by Stitching with the Housewives. I can't see what you're seeing. There we go. Now I am modifying it a little bit. So I am stitching this. Hold on, I gotta find the card. I am using Fortnite Fabrics 28 count even weave fabric of the month from February 2020, Hen of the Woods. That's the fabric that I'm using. And here is my progress. Now, what I've done is I've changed the pumpkin color to Weeks Dye Works Jack-O-Lantern. So there's this pumpkin here, and then there'll be another pumpkin that same color over here. And instead of having, so do you see here, there's the open where you see the black of the fabric, or where they've stitched with the white, or not the white, but kind of the cup color there, as well as up here. I'm not doing that. I'm making it solid, whatever the color of the pumpkin is. So, and other than that, I'm trying to see, I'm using the called for DMCs, except for 2 of them. I didn't have the DMCs, so I'm using a color, the color next to it. So instead of 931, I'm using 932, and instead of 729, I'm using 728. So here are the, let me see if I can lay these out so you can see what I'm doing. Now let's see if I can actually pick it up and show you. So there's the floss colors that I'm using. So, this isn't a hard stitch. It's kind of been my, I'm about to show you the big project that I'm working on. Well, the big project that I'm working on. So this is kind of a palette cleanser in between, because sometimes you just need a little break from what you're working on so that you can, because it's not a difficult pattern, but it's a nice breather pattern. So next up in my project bag from Stitch Toolbox, it's my Outlander to Bed or to Sleep bag that I had her custom make for me. I am working on Cats and Mandalas by Kitty and Me Designs, Pamela Kellogg. And I am using fabric from Bestitch Me. I can't remember the color. I actually cut it this week because I had just like this massive piece of fabric, because I have 2 other mandalas, Cats and Mandalas patterns. This is the February one. I don't know if I said that I'm going to stitch for Dammy. So this is supposed to be done for Dammy's 21st birthday. We will see. So here is where I am at. So I'm pretty sure, see now this is where I'm like, I can't remember exactly where I was last week. I think I've done like almost all of that right here, all this through here this week. This is not a difficult pattern. The problem is, for example, one of these leaves has like 5 or 6 colors in it, as does the hearts. So my back of my fabric doesn't normally look like this, but do you see how I'm like having to carry the flosses? But that's the better option instead of cutting and restarting every time. So I need to finish up the last little bit of these hearts. I didn't get that done last night. And then I think I'm gonna come maybe right here in the middle and do this part right here. So I have, after I finish this one, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4 like full ones, kind of full sections, and then little bits. So we shall see if I can get this done for Dammy's birthday or not. Their birthday is on the 13th of October, and I'm pulling up a calendar, which is a Tuesday. So fingers crossed that they'll either be able to come home the weekend before or the weekend after. It's just going to depend on their schedules. So that's what we're hoping for, so that we can celebrate. And hopefully I will have this done. And they just want it finished in a hoop. So I need to find a hoop that's the right size for it to finish it in. So there's that one. And then in my Knit Run Dig Winnie the Pooh bag, the last thing I'm working on is Edinburgh Castle by Terra Luna Stitchery. It is a 624 by 426 full coverage piece. It's huge. It's huge. And I am using Pattern Keeper software on my Kindle Fire 7. If you have not tried Pattern Keeper and you do full coverage pieces, you need to try it. The one downfall is it's not available on Apple devices. It's only available for Android right now. Apparently they're working on Apple, but no clue when it's going to be. The other kind of problem is it doesn't work with all patterns. The designer has to have certain settings. So I don't know all that, but this works, so I'm using it for this. My needle minders are from Top Knot Stitcher. The Grime Guard is from Crab Shack Stitchery, and I meant to show y'all the earlier projects, but I'm using Snippities from Caddy Cross Stitches. This one just happens to be a Christmas one. But there's a magnet under here, so my needles and my scissors are attached to it, and then your floss just like attaches to it. So like these 6 colors are what I'm stitching with, what I have been stitching with the entirety of the project so far. So I just leave them laid out in color number order so that I know I'm picking up the right one and do that. Okay, so last week when I showed y'all this, let me pop over here to see what it was, which was on the 9th of September. I was at 24,900 stitches. And this is where I'm at now. So I finished this column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So last week I had finished that one top square. So I did all 7 of these squares because I'm just doing 100 stitches a day. This is a 25 count easy grid fabric, and I'm doing 2 over 1, but just doing a 10 stitch, which means just one leg of the stitch. So I am now at 25,600 stitches out of 265,824 complete. I'm at 9.63% complete. I'm at 4 pages out of 60. This column right here that I'll start on today, I think it's like the first 4 stitches out of 10 is the end of the next page, the end of page 5. So when I finish this column, I'll have completed page 5 of 60. So I won't have the column completed for next week. I'll be right here because I do 100 a day. So I'll be right there, and then I'll need to finish that one, and then I'll be at a page finish, another page finish. So, but let's see if I can do this. So I am somewhere like right here. So I'm not sure how many more pages I have to go till I get to like do some of the castle. But the same 5 colors have been the entirety of this. Lots of blue. Lots and lots of blue. Not as bad as, I'll talk about it in Yummies, but I'm watching a new to me FlossTuber, and they had started a Hay to Heaven and Earth design pattern. And, like, all of page 1 other than like 10 or 11 stitches was 310, which is black if you're not familiar. So at least it's not that. At least I'm not stitching with just like one color. At least I'm getting 6 different colors, but still. Okay, that is everything for FlossTube. I do have a little bit in Yummies. about cross stitch. And so we should move on to the next segment. And now it's time for our favorite part of the show, yummies. What are yummies, Dammy? Yummies are our favorite things, our current favorite things, things we like, things we want to talk about. I'm gonna have to get that down. Yummies are our current favorite things, things we like, things we got, things we want to talk about maybe? I don't remember. That's what yummies are. Yummies. First up, we got our monthly Knit Crate box. The post office kind of destroyed it a little bit. So we are affiliates with Knit Crate, and they send us a box every month that we share with y'all. A lot of times the yarn goes into our prize box to be used when we do giveaways and for owls. So this month what we received is Audine Wool's Sleek, which is a 55% fine merino wool, 30% baby alpaca, 15% mulberry silk, 100 grams, 220 yards. It doesn't say on here, but I'm thinking this must be like a sport weight, maybe. Sport or DK weight. The colorway is Unwind. Ooh, the lighting over here is amazing. That is very true to color. And it's so soft and squishy. We also got, and I think I'm keeping this because I love it so much, a Progress Keeper from Pink Macaroons. Pink Macaroons in Los Angeles, California. They do clay charms, stitch markers, jewelries, felt charms, and more. So this is a star, but it's a clay. It's out of, well, I'm assuming it's out of clay. That's what it seems to be. But I think it's cute. Dammy was like, I wonder if it glows in the dark, because wouldn't that be awesome? And then we got the booklet. This is the August booklet. No, this is the September booklet. Somebody messed up. This is the September booklet. Okay, so trying to get, no, it's a worsted weight yarn. They did not write that on the label. It's a worsted weight yarn. Okay, so these are the patterns that came. They also have a sock crate. So first up, a knitting pattern, Cheerful Scarf and Mitts by Katrina King, Threaded Dream Studio. It's an intermediate skill level pattern. A crochet pattern by called Valentina by Matinee Maya Inchum, aka Maya Luna Corazon. Those are beautiful. I love the lacing and the buttons. I'm not a crocheter. This is a beginner level pattern. I'm not a crocheter. The charts, oh my gosh, these charts in here like scare the crap out of me. We have a knitted sock pattern called Serendipitous Sock by Kate Atherley. And it is an intermediate level pattern. It is a cuff down but you work from both ends of the ball. Interesting. Oh, I see why. Okay, I was wondering why it looks so different. So it looks like for the on one sock for the toe and heel, you stripe from opposite ends of the ball, and then on this sock for the main part of the sock, you stripe from both ends of the ball. That's cute. I like that a lot. Y'all know I like to do mismatched socks, so. And then there's a crochet sock pattern called Puffy Socks by Katrina King, Threaded Dream Studio. An intermediate pattern. And October's theme is Nudesse. So, Neat Crate offers a coupon code for y'all, and if you shop with them through our link, we get a little affiliate back, which we put into for shipping things to y'all, prizes and such. The coupon code is all capital letters Geeky20, GEEKY20, to get 20% off your first order. It will work to discount the first month of a recurring monthly subscription and any of their shop items. If you go to our website, the show notes at GGKCS.com, there will be a direct link to use that. We also yesterday got in the new issue, which I immediately opened and smelled because it smells so good. I don't know what they do, but it smells so good. The new issue of Pom Pom Quarterly. This is issue 34, autumn 2020, the home issue with guest editor Ocean Rose. And we will review this next week when Dammy is on the show. But I wanted to show you that we got it in. And then I mentioned in FlossTube that I've been watching a new to me FlossTuber. Her channel name is Creativity by Gidge, and her name is Amy. And I found out about her because of Michelle Bendy Stitchy mentioned her. And in Amy's later FlossTube videos, she signs ASL as well as speaks her episodes. And if you're new here, you might not know that I'm going back to school next week, starting next week, to become an ASL interpreter. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I watched what was at that time her newest episode. And then I reached out to her on Instagram and we chatted for like 2.5 hours. So I have gone back to the beginning of her FlossTube and I've been binge watching it. So, yeah, so, I'm not sure at what episode she starts doing the ASL signing, but I'm having fun getting to know her through the past episodes, so that's fun. Okay, we won't do GGK Crafty Pad this week other than for me to tell you that that's our, daily photo a day challenge, and, you take a look at the prompt. What is today's prompt? In your bag, interpret it however you wish, take a photo, post it on Instagram, use the hashtag GGKCraftyPad, and then we pick our favorites and we will be highlighting those in the episodes that Dammy's on social media, in the podcast, on the show notes, etc. And yeah, and we will release, I'm looking at the calendar on the wall, we will be releasing the October prompts list next week, so we will show you all that in next week's episode as well. October is our birthday month, both Dammy and I, and so we love October. Love it so much. Okay, let me move on to the next segment. What you doing, Pinky? Pink Pearl, our cat, is adjusting to Dammy not being home. There's been a couple of days that Pink Pearl has sat outside Dammy's bedroom door thinking, oh, she just hasn't opened the door for me yet. But we FaceTime with Dammy every day, and Pink Pearl talks to Dammy. So, okay, this is the what we're reading, watching, listening to segment. So let me start by reminding you about our RAL read-along. We have a seasonal one. The current one is the July, August, September, and it's a challenge for you to read 15 minutes a day, every day. I don't care what you're reading. As long as you're reading, audiobooks do count. And they're in our Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/groups/GGKCS. You'll have to answer 3 questions to get into the group. First question is, what's the cat's name? Pink, or Pink Pearl, P-U-R-L. Who's the mama, Cece or Dammy? Me, Cece. And then you need to read the rules and click that you accept the rules, and then we will approve your membership. If you don't answer the questions after 24 hours, we'll decline your membership, and then you can reapply. We're just trying to keep spammers or such out of the group. So in the Facebook group, there is a finish line thread where you post and then you edit your comment to put your reading for the season. And by participating in the seasonal alongs, you get entries into our year-long challenge. At the beginning of 2021, we will draw for 3 grand prize winners from those entries. There are also ways to get bonus entries. So, yeah, all the details are in the Facebook group and in our show notes at ggkcs.com. Okay, what I'm reading. I'm still reading After Evangelicalism, The Path to a New Christianity by David P. Gushi. I think it's Gushi. This is for the LGBTQ faith book club that I'm a member of. That's for both people. There must be a bird or something outside because Pink is stalking it. It's really funny when she shakes her butt because she wants to pounce the bird, but the bird's outside. For the book club that has both LGBTQ folks in it as well as allies. And so this is the first book we're reading. I am getting close to being done. I think I have 1.5 chapters to go. There was a chapter this week that just, it really triggered some stuff in me. So I had to kind of take a break from it because, it was a lot. So, I'm looking forward to, I think it's not next Monday, it's the Monday after. We will actually have we have a Facebook group that we chat in with about the book, but we'll have a Zoom thing, and the author is coming. So that's really exciting. I'm still reading 7 Transforming Gifts of Menopause, An Unexpected Spiritual Journey by Cheryl Bridges Johns. I talked about this last week about some of my qualms about the book. I haven't made it much further. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. And that's rare. I usually, if I start a book, I finish it. So, I'm continuing to reread the 5th book in the Harry Potter series, Order of the Phoenix, with Harry Potter and the Sacred Text podcast and Swish and Flick and All Potter podcast. This week's chapter is Christmas on the Closed Ward, and it's divided in half for Swish and Flick. So I'll be reading it this week, and well, I've already read it, but it'll cover this week and next week. I did want to say I don't know if it's still up. Hold on. I shared a post from Instagram to my stories. Let me see. Oh, it's not up anymore. I'll have to see if I can find it. But it was a post about She Who Shall Not Be Named, the author of the series, and some more comments and things that she has done. Gammy and I talked about in the past that I won't be naming that person as the author, and have kind of divorced the author from the writing. But there was a really good post that I shared about how to support trans folks, and how you can still appreciate the work while separating it from the author. So I will see if I can find that. I shared it to my stories, and after 24 hours it disappears. So okay, and then see, and now I'm gonna have to remember what these books were about because I've read a lot this week. Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. I finished reading it. I know I talked about it on last week's episode, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, that was the one where the kid disappears and you've got like two stories going on and you're not sure how they connect. That one. I read The Unraveling of Cassidy Holmes by Elisa R. Sloan, and this was about a girl pop group, music group, and at the beginning of the book you find out that one of the members has died, and then you're like going back and forth between past and current or present day in the book, about the journey of the group and how it was like formed and life stuff and things that you didn't know. It was well done. It was a good book, but there is trigger warnings because if I'm remembering correctly, there was a trigger warning page at the beginning of the book. I think that was that one. So I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This one was set on a island off of the UK where there's only this like one old house that's been renovated, and there's a wedding happening, and you find out all the crap history of people and things tied together that you had no idea that tied together in the beginning. It was a kind of a thriller type book. I read the first book in the Bells series called The Bells, Bellles, by Danielle Clayton. And this is, I've got the second book ready to read. I just haven't yet because I had other books that I needed to finish before their due dates. This is a fantasy book set with, so people are born kind of like gray color and have no beauty to them. And then there's these certain amount of young women who are born, they're called the Bells, and they have the ability to change what people look like, whether it's skin color, eye color, hairstyle, shape of the body, weight, etc., etc. And these Bells have been trained. There's like a group of them every so many years, and one of them is chosen to be the favorite and works in the castle with the queen and the princess, and then the rest of them are in these houses around the region, and people pay to have themselves changed. But you come to find out there's lots of secrets behind this that you didn't know about and they didn't know about, and there was a cliffhanger ending, so I'm excited to read the next one. And then I'm listening to the third book in the Red Rising saga by Pierce Brown called Morning Star, and it is a like science fiction but in a time of war in space, and there's kind of like Hunger Games elements to it, and yeah, so I just started listening to the third book. I was waiting for it to come available. It doesn't look like the fourth book is available from my library as an audiobook, so I think I'm gonna have to actually read it. And then I am reading the first book in the Dr. Greta Helsing series by Vivian Shaw called Strange Practice. And the doctor works with the undead. So whether it's vampires, werewolves, etc., witches, etc. And there is a serial killer in London. And yeah, I don't want to give away anything. I haven't finished it. I'm still reading it. But I'm enjoying it. And I think about the second book on hold to read. I did not watch a lot of TV this week because I was binge watching Creativity by Gidge, Amy's episodes, as well as I've just been super busy. But we did finish watching the second half of Serenity, the movie that we talked about last week. We finished rewatching season 5, and we're rewatching season 6 of Psych. And I watched an episode that I had missed last week of The 100. I wouldn't have talked about it because I would normally watch it on Thursday after we record. But I had thought it wasn't coming back till this week, but it came back last week, and so I accidentally got spoiled that a main character died. I thought I knew who it was, and I was right. Bellamy was killed, or that's what we assume because of what happened. So I have the new episode to watch today. This is the final season of it, and I'm ready for it to be done. There's not that many episodes left. And Dammy and Russ were like, you could stop watching. I'm like, no, I have to finish it. I'm a finisher. And then listening to my favorite murder podcast, listened to that this morning. David Tennant does a podcast with, and this week's episode was Cush Jumbo. And they talked about her being in The Good Wife, and then there was a spinoff of that. I don't know what it was called, The Good Something, I can't remember. How Hugh Jackman was at her wedding when they were on Broadway and moving back to London to play Hamlet on stage, and then pandemic happened. So it was a very good episode. I enjoyed listening to it. Unlocking Us with Brene Brown podcast. I haven't listened to the new episode yet, but I have it. Evolving Faith podcast, and then random Spotify playlists. And that's what I'm reading, watching, and listening to this week. We made it to the end of the show. Next week when Dammy's back, we will do our September, October, November Artistic Autumnal Owl. Just know that that's ongoing in our Facebook group, and it's for any project you knit, crochet, weave, spin, stitch, or sew during autumn. No whips are allowed. So it had to be started September 1st or later and be done by the end of November. We will also do the Ask the Geek segment next week. So, like to say a big thank you. Love you guys. I'm trying not to say you guys. Love y'all. Because I want to include everyone. Love y'all. Even though I know you guys. Love y'all. To everyone who supports the podcast, no matter how it is you do it, but an especially big thank you to those of you who support us financially to help pay for prizes and shipping of prizes and technology and all that stuff that has to happen. There are 4 ways you can do that. First is Patreon, which is a site where you pledge a certain amount a month to your favorite creatives, and you earn rewards based on the level you donate at. If you would like to sign up for that or would like more information, you can go to patreon.com/GGKCS. We have a PayPal button in the sidebar of our website if you'd like to make a one-time donation. Each week we create a list on Bookshop of all the books we talk about in that week's episode. Bookshop is an online bookstore with a mission to financially support local independent bookstores. If you purchase a book from our store, we earn a commission, as well as local independent bookstores also earn money from the purchase. There's a link in our show notes, and if you would like to get directly to our shop, it's bookshop.org/shop/GGKCS. And then we are Amazon.com, .co.uk, and .ca affiliates. If you're going to shop on Amazon, if you go to our website first, ggkcs.com, and in the sidebar or at the bottom of the show notes, click on your appropriate Amazon, do your shopping as normal. We earn a little money back based on what you purchase. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it's a great way to support the podcast by doing something you would be doing anyway. You can find us online at ggkcs.com. There are links to everywhere else we are online. Our Facebook group, Apple Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. And with that, I'm going to tell you goodbye. Oh, I didn't talk about it. I said I would wait and talk about it at the end of the show. So we are, oh my goodness. Pink Pearl is laying on her back, being a baby bunny in the sun. So we have not been directly affected by the fires, the wildfires here where we live, but we have been affected by the smoke and the air quality. Today is better, still unhealthy, but better. I know it's not as bad as it has been some places. My asthma has been acting up because of it, so I'm having to use my inhalers, and it's been sad because it's been fairly nice weather-wise outside, but we can't open our windows or our patio door to let the air in, so it's been warm inside. But we're safe, and Dammy's safe. They're predicting rain for early tomorrow morning through the weekend, and so hopefully that'll happen and help with the wildfires and the smoke and the air quality. Our hearts go out to everyone who's being affected by it, especially those who'd be infected physically, having to evacuate, losing their everything, homes, possessions, everything. So our hearts go out to y'all, and yeah. Remember, we're still in a pandemic, y'all. Wear your masks, wash your hands, social distance, use your common sense. And until next week, I'll be back with you on Monday with a Stitch with me, and we'll be back with you, Dammy, with me on the screen next Friday with a regular episode. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy crafting. Talk to you again soon. Bye. Somebody came over to sit by me, but only because she wanted to lay on my book pouch. Pinky, why are you laying on my book sleeve? You like to lay on books, don't you? You like to lay on books and papers? Are you keeping it safe for me? Are you protecting it? Nobody will get it with Pinky around? Good girl.